My roommate said I was too boring for anyone to ever like me. Her crush had been writing poetry about me for a year. My roommate Claire was getting her PhD in literature and never let me forget that I worked in accounting and read trash books. She'd bring her grad school friends over for wine and poetry nights, making me serve them cheese boards while they talked about how some people are just born without inner depth. She was obsessed with James from her writing program, this gorgeous published poet who she'd analyze like homework. James needs someone who can match his intelligence, she'd say, then look at me. Not someone whose biggest thought is what to watch on Netflix. Claire read my journal out loud at one of her parties, using a fake dumb girl voice. Today was nice, the sunset was pretty, I got coffee. Everyone laughed while I stood frozen in the kitchen doorway. This is what happens when basic people try to write, she announced. When she found out James was joining her study group, she literally locked me in my bedroom. You'll make him think I live with someone who has mall personality, she hissed through the door. She started posting pictures of our apartment, but only her side, captioning them, my private sanctuary for deep thoughts. She told everyone I was basically furniture that came with a lease. One night, she found a poem I'd written on a napkin and performed a dramatic reading of it, adding, can you believe she thought this was good, to her cackling friends. I started escaping to a poetry open mic across town every Wednesday night, the only place where no one knew I was Claire's boring roommate. I never performed, just sat in the third row, left side, listening to real people share real feelings without pretentious commentary. After a few months, the regulars started recognizing me, asking my opinion after their sets, inviting me for coffee afterwards. One poet in particular started looking for me in the audience before he'd begin, this gentle guy who wrote about ordinary moments like they were sacred. We'd workshop pieces together at the diner afterwards, him reading new work while I gave honest feedback. He only knew my first name, and I only knew him as Jay, because that's how the host introduced him. Claire got meaner as her obsession with James got worse. She'd quiz me on famous books to prove I was stupid, then tell everyone I failed her basic culture tests. The night before her big party where James would finally come over, she stood in my doorway and said, I need you gone tomorrow night. I told James I live alone because explaining you would be like explaining why I have an IKEA futon. Some things just make you look poor. I showed up to the party anyway because I paid half the rent and was tired of being treated like an embarrassment. Claire was holding court in the living room, butchering famous poetry quotes while her friends nodded like she was brilliant. Then I saw him sitting next to her, and my stomach dropped. It was Jay from Wednesday nights, except Claire was calling him James, and suddenly everything clicked into place. This was the James, Claire's James, my coffee friend Jay. I tried to back out of the room, but he glanced toward the hallway and his entire body went still. Oh my god, he said, standing up so fast he knocked over his wine. Wednesday night girl. The room went silent as he crossed toward me like I might disappear. Wait, you're Claire's roommate? The one she said was too boring to meet? He pulled out the same beat-up notebook I'd seen dozens of times at the diner. I've been telling you about this awful girl in my program who keeps hitting on me, and you've been living with her this whole time? He turned to Claire. You said your roommate had no personality, but she's the one I've been writing about for a year. Listen to this, he said, and started reading to everyone. She sits third row left, always, holds her coffee with both hands like a prayer, nods at the real lines, not the pretty ones, the ones that crack you open and spill truth on the floor. Claire's mouth fell open as James explained how I was the girl from Riverside Open Mic, the one every poet wanted feedback from, the one he'd been trying to get the courage to officially ask out for months. You told me to cut the third verse of Bones, he said. That poem got published in The Atlantic because of you. Claire stood up, her voice cracking. But I'm the one who understands poetry. I have a literature degree from Yale. James looked at her confused. You said spoken word was for people who couldn't write real poetry. You said open mics were creative writing dropout support groups. Claire stood there speechless as James took my hand and said, would you like to go get coffee somewhere that isn't our usual diner? As we left together, I heard Claire's friend whisper, isn't that your boring roommate who has no inner life?